Hello ladies and gentlemen, today I'm going to be putting together a DIY Christmas tree. This is an RGB type of kit that you would just buy from Banggood. This is where I bought mine. This kit here says it comes with some micro USB, I think it is, or mini USB, I don't know, I can't remember the name of that port right there. It's an older connection. However, mine didn't come with that. It came with a barrel jack USB and it came with a battery bank. So hey, that's much better because this tree can now be portable because of it. This one here, you would actually have to keep it constantly plugged into a source. This one here has that option and obviously on batteries. It takes 3 AA batteries, the kit that I got. So thank you for giving me the wrong one there, Banggood. So here's the kit right here. I'm just going to open it up. Uh-oh. What's this? I thought I looked through everything. There is a piece of plastic here. Oh, it's just fillers. Okay, have a look right here. You can see there's one right here that's wanting to pop out. Yeah, they just didn't remove them all. Okay, so I'm going to move that off to the side because that will be way later on. So yeah, this is the battery bank. I'm not really sure how this one goes together. I'm going to have to figure it out. So here's the barrel jack USB. We have the board and some spacers here. And here's the bottom part of the board. Now there's many different versions of this tree. Some of them have speakers, some of them have different type of lights, some of them have barrel jack with this, some have, I don't know, there's so many different type of versions of this, it's ridiculous. So here's the tree right here. This is the A side. As you see, one side is negative, the other side is positive. We do have a place for resistors in here. There's 7.K resistor there. We have some transistor spots here. This is 1914. Apparently some of these boards here come with the wrong one, so just double check to make sure everything is correct. Just in case you do need to replace that or not. More resistors. So yeah, everything is labeled here. This is diode. An LED is a diode, light elusive diode. So yeah, we got a positive side, which is the longer lead, and then the shorter one goes into the other port. So yeah, everything just goes on here. I think you just solder it in and then bend it over so it just points out that direction from the board. It'd be like this. We do have some other connections right here. I'm not really sure about that. We'll have to see with that part there. Some capacitors in here. There's 47 microfarad. So yeah, that's actually fairly easy. So yeah, positive, negative down here. This is the B side. It's pretty much the exact same thing as you can see. The bottom board, we do have, if I got this thing facing the right direction here. This board here says there's a positive side and then these two are negative. As you can see, they're connected by that one little line right there. You can see telling you that both of these sides here are positive. So I think the first thing I'm going to be doing is testing these resistors. So I'm not really sure what they are. They aren't tagged, so you are definitely going to need a multimeter. That way you can check the resistance of them. Okay, so what I did is I just separated everything. I put the LEDs right here. I think these just automatically randomly change colors since they're RGB and there's only 2 prongs coming out of them, so it doesn't really matter where they go onto the board. I don't think. I'm gonna probably test one of those out just to find out for sure. These transistors right here, they all seem to be labeled, I think. I haven't really looked at them yet. 9014 and same. So I guess the other spots on this board right here that are labeled 8050 are a part of the buzzer, which didn't come in this kit. So if you do have that version, make sure that you put the right transistors in the right areas. For these capacitors, they are all 47s. I'm not going to bother testing them. They say that that's what they are. For these resistors, however, they definitely need to be tested. I have a piece of tape right here that says 100. I'm just going to be setting them right here. And this one here says 4.7, so those resistors will sit right here as well. So this is kind of almost like a holder for them. That way I know what's what. Here's my multimeter. I'm going to stick mine into resistance. There we are. And I'm going to test one of these. It doesn't matter the polarity on a resistor, just as long as it actually shows close to the value. This is 4.5, so that would go underneath 4.7. This one here has a different mark on it. I will show you the marks after. I take it this is the 100. Oh. Indeed it is. So just make sure that you go through all your resistors and just test to see what's what here. So my multimeter labeled it as this and that up there. See how I have it set up? You can probably do the same if you want. Okay, so now since you set up your resistors, crap, I missed one. So I was missing one extra resistor in that little bunch. Apparently it was just sitting off on the edge right here, and so I just dealt with that. So I am going to be working on, I don't know, let's do A first and then go to B. So we are going to be doing resistors. Obviously we got 4.7 here, we have 100 here, 100 here, 4.7 here. So yeah, just make sure that you put them all in the right areas. It doesn't really matter the polarity to stick them anywhere. You can flip them any direction you want. Just make sure that the resistance is the correct resistance. So 4.7 has to be here, not the 100. The 100 has to be there, not the 4.7. Okay, got the idea? Put it onto this face here. Don't put it onto the other side. Okay, just make sure that you put it this direction. All right. Every single one of those resistors are actually now sitting in the boards. So this is how it should look. And the back end just looks like that for now. I just bent them over. Same thing with this one. Just bent that over as well. So all you just have to do now is just solder it and then snip off the extra bit of leads here. Just you can kind of make them as close as you can to the board just to make it look as professional as possible. So the resistors are now done. I want to do transistors now. I guess I could do them. But honestly, I'd rather do the LEDs first. So I'm going to do LEDs. I'm just kind of curious to see if these LEDs are just randomly changing ones, and if so, then I'll just put them in there and just not think about it. So I'm going to try that next. As I'm starting to see my power supply a little more often than usual, I haven't even did a review on that thing yet. I still got to solder my oscilloscope. However, this was more requested to do first than the oscilloscope, so I do want to do that next. I want to see if they just randomly change or not. I hope so. Apparently they do. This one's just flickering red. So this one's just red and green. I hope they're not all red and green, because that'd be kind of sucky. Okay, that's red and green as well. I'm just going to go through all these just to double check them. So the LEDs are next. Make sure the longer lead is in the positive hole. As you can kind of see, these are all the holes right here. One side says positive, right there. The longest lead goes into there. There's a couple things I do want to note when you do put them in here. The first one, I guess you should have just went in a little bit further, just to kind of match up to the edge, as you can see with the rest right there, and all the way down. I noticed that this very bottom corner here with the D4 doesn't have a positive end, but if you have a look at all the others, the positive end is sitting at the top. Same thing with the other side. So just do the same with the bottom one. I have just realized something, that I have LEDs, transistors, resistors, capacitors, a barrel jack, mounts, screws and nuts, battery thing here, and just the cord. I don't see no switch. There's no switch on it whatsoever. So I'm not really sure if you gotta pull the battery out, maybe pull out the barrel jack, or Banggood did it again and didn't give me the parts that I freaking need. I'm really starting to get irritated by that. I think the LEDs take the longest because you just gotta stick them in here and then bend them over. It's starting to look like a a board. I already did the other one, as you can see right there. Alright, so all my leads are pointing at the top here. So all I have to do now is just solder this thing together. So I just finished soldering, so I'm just going to go ahead and snip off these ends. So these are now done. I have the resistors on here, I have the LEDs. So what will be next, as you can see on both of them here with the ends snipped off, what will be next will be the transistors. So that is these little fellas right here. They'll be next. So to put these things in, just make sure that they are the right ones. Like this is 9014 and these are actually labeled 9014. Now there is a direction that they got to go in. As you can see that there's a little curve right here, you can see the curve right there. So just make sure that you put them in the right area, follow the curve. I'll put one in here and show it to you after. So as you can have a look right there, I just put one in here. That's the direction that it needs to be. So do the same with the others. There's one down here and there's one right here as well, and just check the other board. I think there is a few on there too. Yeah, there is. So yeah, I think that there's 6 altogether. So there's 5, yeah, there's 6 altogether. So just put them all in and then solder those as well, and then snip off the ends. So now they're all soldered in. They're the correct direction. As you can see, they've been snipped off. Same thing goes with that board as well. So what would be next is the capacitors. So there's one there, here, here, and 3 at the bottom here as well. So there should be 6. Let me have a look here. Yeah, there's 6 here. Now there is a direction with these as well. Have a look here, we have a positive and then there's the negative end right there. Now usually they would color code this. There'd be like one white patch, which would be the negative end. So the positive right here is the black side. See, the longer lead on here is the positive end, and the white patch is the negative end. So just put it in like this. I want to give you a heads up before you solder these capacitors in. A couple of them are actually going to need to be extended out a little bit because you're going to have to bend them. So just watch a little bit ahead and then you'll actually understand what I mean by this before you solder it in, okay? So I kind of made a critical error. Well, it's actually not too bad. C1 on B here is going to have to be pushed forward a little bit. So just make sure that you give enough lead here. That way you can do that. And for A, just kind of bend things over a little bit. The reason being is the fact that when you put these two together, these components are going to collide, going right past each other. So yeah, they're going to sit side by side like that. So just be aware, okay? It's not that bad. You just have to bend them over a little bit. Kind of looks ugly, but nothing you can do about that. Is just a design flaw. You're probably thinking, well, maybe you can just put that capacitor on the other side. Well, it's going to get in the way of the other one, so no matter what you do, a couple of them are going to have to be bent. So the base is next. It's right here, one negative, and then the other side is negative, and you can see this little white line that's coming around. It's showing you that those two sides are negative, and this little line right here is saying that these two sides are positive. So if you take a look at your board, we do have positive right here, and if we flip it around, oh, that side's positive. So these two sides are positive, 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 negative, negative. So just keep in mind that's exactly the way it's got to go. So that's pretty much it for that part. Just gonna have to be careful that way it doesn't fall over when I do this. Negative, negative, negative. Yep, everything's good to go. I'm just tacking it down. Okay, before I continue off with that, I'm going to start peeling this stuff off and then kind of figure out how this case is going to go. So I just temporarily put this thing together just to kind of see how it'll fit. I have noticed that the bottom LEDs, like that one down there, and then just all of them on the very bottom row have to be bent because this case here is just way too small and they just extend out way too far, which is fine. It's not a big deal. I am missing a switch. I probably might have a switch that I could use temporarily for now. I do have a pile of switches, so hopefully that will work. We do have the barrel jack and the battery bank. Honestly, I think the barrel jack would probably be the wisest idea because you can connect to a battery bank or some type of USB and then you're good to go. If you are using the barrel jack and then you have batteries in here, that's a bad thing because of the fact that I've looked at the 5-volt rail. There's no protection whatsoever between the barrel jack and the battery, so basically you can send so much over voltage to this thing and probably burn it out. So it's either batteries or the barrel jack. Don't use both together because then bad things will happen. So honestly, I think barrel jack might be the way to go. Okay, now since I test fitted everything, I know how this thing's going to go together, and I won't be using this. I will be putting it in there though. I will solder it together, but that's it. Given out to somebody else, my mother, so she won't be taking the cover off every single time she wants to change batteries. It's just stupid like that. She'll most likely use this. Just a cord, plug it in, call it good. I do have another little switch here. I got tons of little switches. I just snipped off one of the leads here. Hopefully yours comes with a switch. This is going to be a permanent switch, so it won't be moving on and off. You just have to turn it off by unplugging it from the barrel jack. But I will be soldering the barrel jack on because that is the most important part. So that would go down here where it says DC. It only goes in one way. So hopefully yours comes with a barrel jack. If yours is a little bit different, then well, it's a little bit different. You just have to solder it the way that you have yours. Here we are. Barrel jack's in there. Now I just have to solder it together. And refix that one up. There we are. Since the barrel jack is now soldered, I am going to do my custom switch. If yours is the same type right here, you'll see, or if you see those 3 holes, you see 2 lines coming off of that hole. I have 2 prongs right here that will go on to those lines. I'll show you. I'll just push this in. So 2 lines are on the right hand side there, and that's exactly where I have my switch. And I'm going to have it to that position, that way those 2 lines connect together. And just solder that one in as well. We got another LED that we do have to solder on. That is at the very top right here. You will see there is a negative and a positive. So there's the negative and then there's the positive. Remember that the longer lead is the positive. So we put an LED into those 2 holes and solder it. I guess make it face up. Snip those off as well. So now you have your LED sitting at the very top. But as you can see, it's kind of somewhat sitting at the top, as best as I can get it. It's kind of bent like that. So there is another area that you do need to solder. You kind of see it here in the middle. You can see a spot right here. To solder that on all 4 sides, that's just to kind of hold it together. That way it doesn't move around. Because the only place that it is soldered to hold down is right here, so at the very bottom. So yeah, just put a little bit of solder there on all 4 sides. You can see that it's bridged together right here. So I guess the next part is to test this thing before I continue. You're going to unravel this. Turn the switch off because I'm going to test that too. Let's see if this thing works before I actually plug it in. Turn that off and let's find out. Ooh, that's colorful. One LED is not working. Okay, so I'm going to unplug this thing. I'm going to fix that LED. These type of things do happen over time. Not a big deal. I'll just desolder it and then swap it out. It's a good thing I got extras. So I checked. All the LEDs are now working. So that's awesome. So yeah, I got a button down there. I have the barrel jack there. Everything should be good to go. Put solder in the middle here. Solder down here. Just kind of hold it together. That's pretty much it. You can put solder down there, but there's like really no point. It's not being soldered there anyways. It's just at the top. So yeah, it ain't going nowhere. So the next part would be the standoffs. These little white thingies right here. Yeah, you'll just see that there's a screw hole on one side and then the other. It doesn't really matter which one, what side you choose, but you need these little white plastic screws. So yeah, just screw them in like this on all 4 sides. Just want to snug them up. They don't have to be tight. It is plastic after all, right? Just make sure that your standoffs are on. I guess we could solder the battery pack to it. I put my wires through that one hole here. These 2 holes Okay, this one right here where the wire is coming out, and then the other one is supposed to be used for this, so you can screw this onto the bottom part of it. So the next part would be is the bottom. You can see that there's 3 long holes here, and then there's two individual ones at the bottom. What you're gonna have to do is put these 2 individual ones towards the opposite side of the barrel jack, which will be my switch, and you use the same plastic little screws. Alright, the bottom is on now. These 2 lines here need to be facing towards the switch. So what I'm going to do is kind of somewhat slide this wire in here. It's a little long. If I was you, I would screw the battery holster to the circuit board. I would snip the wires, make them a little bit shorter, solder it together, because in fact if you want to actually use the battery holster, you can actually unscrew the bottom itself, put new batteries in it, and then screw it back together. So it's actually easy enough for you to swap out the batteries if you want. I may fix that later on in the future. For now, I'm just going to jam the wires in there and call it good. And it's jammed in there. I ain't using that, but it's still there. Now is the sides. This one side right here is for the barrel jack. Now this side would also be for a switch if you had a different version. As you see, barrel jack there. I'm just gonna kind of clean it up, get fingerprints off of it. And obviously this is one that has little tiny holes in it, so the other one with little tiny holes has to go on the opposite side. And that one has a slit right here. That definitely goes on the other side. You can actually get at your switch and stuff if you really needed to. Now one of the sides, they both look the same, except for apparently somebody made a boo-boo on this one. They cut out an end right here, but it's an identical piece, so it doesn't matter what side goes where. You'll figure it out when you put it together. You do get these little tiny screws and nuts here. They actually fit in those little holes, so just put them in. This is going to take me a bit. This is a finicky job here. Alright, this thing is now put together. I do have some extra parts. I got a couple of screws, one extra. I guess you could take the bottom apart. You can take these 4 little screws out, and then you can get at the battery itself. So hey, that's good. And I forgot to turn on my Nikon camera, so let's turn that on now. Alright, there we go. So yeah, the bottom part right here, I guess you can take these 4 screws out, and then you can just get at the battery bank, but you know, or the batteries. But I think that's kind of a pain when you just easily plug in and out. So let's plug it on in and test it. And it looks like I forgot to turn the switch on, so I'm gonna have to stick this through the hole. There we are. Check that out. Pretty little lights. I think that's a cute little tree. Don't you agree? So, I just showed it to my mother and then she just stole it. So I don't have it now. Tomorrow when I get it back there, I'm going to actually make a video review of it and go from there. So yeah, the only thing that I was missing was a switch to turn it on and off. Yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. You got to see a few seconds of it. Wait for the review video, and I'll see you next time.